Hello and welcome to the Third Sector. I'm your host, Tamara Brinkman. In our society, there are three sectors: the public, the private, and the nonprofit, and it's that third sector that we're here to talk about today. My guests on today's show are Eric Marsh, Executive Director of Whitewater Valley Community Television, and Susan Isaacs from the Wayne Township Trustee's Office. With me to start the show is Eric Marsh joining us. Hi, Eric. Thank you so much. I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm used to sitting in your chair as opposed to being the person interviewed. So this is the second time in a month I've been in this spot. I prefer the host chair.
Well, I hear you, and this is my first time with getting guests back into the studio live because of COVID. Obviously, we've been on Zoom for so long, so lots of firsts as we get going this year.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for your time
Glad
on
to
our
do
show. So let's just dive right in. Let's talk about Whitewater Valley Community Television, also known as WCTV in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Give us the history of it. How long have we had it here? When did it start? You know, and take us to what we are today.
Whitewater Community Television, interestingly enough, went on the air the same month that I moved to Wayne County. It was August of 1988 when it went on the air. Jim Russell, who is the radio TV teacher at the Career Center at Richmond High School, was actually the first executive director. He was fresh out of Ball State. They hired him. There were 7 community members who kind of started this organization. They incorporated it as Whitewater Community Television, Inc. It is a 501c3, not-for-profit corporation. Mm-hmm. It started with one channel, which was at that time run out of the basement of Richmond High School. Channel 16, I think, is where they started. Mm-hmm. And through negotiation and change through the years, they now have 3 channels, or we now have 3 channels. If you have Comcast cable in the area, channel 21 is our public access station, as well as the name of the organization, WCTV, Whitewater Community Television. Channel 20 is our educational access station. We call it WETV. And then WGTV, Channel 11, is our government access station. And when you run them in that direction, you get PEG, Public Education and Government Access.
Oh, wow. Okay. See, we learned so much. So what is the mission or the goal, so to say, or your mission? You know, what is it that, for WCTV?
Public education and government access is provided by the cable company to communities. They are required, basically, to offer a channel. Not every community takes it. Obviously, Richmond and Wayne County have taken advantage of that because cable runs their lines on public right-of-ways. That's kind of their payback a little bit to the communities. Okay. Our mission is to provide service for the community, and we do that in a few different ways. On our public channel, we offer free time to not-for-profit organizations on our bulletin board. We run time for them as far as what their events are, and we don't charge them for that. We have a number of shows that are run on that channel, and unless you need our assistance to do it, it doesn't cost you anything. So we administer that. On the educational side of things, we record a number of different shows like this one that help educate the community about some of the various aspects of what's going on. And on our government side, we allow the citizens to hear from their government. So on average, we do about 250 government meetings a year. Those are gavel to gavel. We don't provide any input as to what the community sees. When the meeting opens, we're recording. When it closes, we stop, and we make no commentary. Right. And we started doing that with a number, obviously, of the Richmond meetings, but we have expanded out over the last 7 years or so that we are doing Dublin, Greens Fork, Milton. Every month, we're in these communities, Cambridge City, Fountain City. We do their government meetings every month, and we do some additional meetings. Just a week or so ago, Purdue Extension and the Wayne County Clerk's Office held an event where they were talking to people who were interested in running for public office. Yes. We recorded that, and we're going to show that to the community multiple times. So providing information about the various aspects and things that are going on is really what we do.
Right. It's so fascinating to me to hear all of this, and why I'm so excited to have you here is I don't know that all the nonprofits in our community are aware of the opportunities that WCTV can provide for them.
Sure.
You know, in addition to all that they provide for the community at large. And so, and getting the word out and being able to do some of those things for free. Free is great, especially in the nonprofit world.
Yes.
Free is great in any world, really. But, well, you know, with tight budgets, it's wonderful to know that. So, to expand just a little bit more on if you wanted to share out, or you want to voice out something that you have coming up as a nonprofit. Just
Very, very easy. And there are a couple of different ways to do it. Some of
Yeah.
it is free, some of it is not. So we have on each one of the 3 channels that I've mentioned, we have a bulletin board. When we are not running video programs, we run information. On our public channel, we run information from not-for-profits mostly. Now, we also run, when some of the churches air that are on that channel, when some of the other programs that air on that channel, when those run. But the bulletin board consists a lot of not-for-profit information. So if a not-for-profit organization has an event coming up they want the community to know about, they can email us one of their flyers. They can email it to wctv@iue.edu.
okay.
We're here on the Indiana University East Campus, which is why the IUE, and we will make sure that that gets on. There was a point in time where we would go searching for information from not-for-profits, but that takes too much time from
Yeah.
the staff, and we have a relatively small staff. So we're asking the not-for-profits to provide that information. Just email us a flyer, and we'll copy it to the best of our ability, make it readable, and it rotates many times over the course of a couple of weeks. And we ask them to make sure we have that information at least 3 weeks before the event so
Okay.
that we can run it on the community bulletin board at least 2 weeks before the event.
Okay.
Sometimes if it's a partner organization that we work with a lot, we'll even pull that out and highlight it on one of our social media channels.
Okay.
If the organization needs something a little bit more than that and need production, whether they need a commercial or something along those lines, that comes with membership. And we have 4 membership levels. We ask people not to talk about money
Right.
on these channels, so I won't say what those membership levels are. But if you go to our website, wctv.info, you can find information about our not-for-profit as well as our for-profit and individual memberships. Some of those not-for-profit memberships, 3 of those levels, actually come with production time. So I'll use the EDC as an example. They are a member of our organization. They renew their membership every year. They use that membership so that we will record their annual meeting and show it back to the community because they want the community to know what those businesses are doing and what they've been able to do.
Right.
So there are organizations like that. The Chamber was like that for a while. The Chamber ran a program called Chamber Chat for 10 or 11 years. The production of that show was covered under their membership fees.
Okay. Okay. And in case you don't know what the shorthand for EDC is, it's the Economic Development
Corporation, yes.
here in Wayne County that obviously works very hard to bring new business and the like to our community and help those existing businesses in our community. So we're hearing a lot about all of the wonderful things that WCTV brings, the value that it brings. Tell me what would happen to this community if this wonderful organization did not exist or cease to exist.
You know, there is a lot of information that we are able to put out to the community. I mentioned the 250 government meetings that we do on average. Sometimes
Right.
it's even more than that. A lot of that information would not get out because the commercial entities who actually cover news, and I'm not knocking them, they are all great partners
Right.
for us, whether it's the radio station, whether it was the Palladium Item, whether it is the Western Wayne News, they don't have staffs that are large enough to cover every meeting that happens in an evening. We do on certain Tuesdays during the month, we'll do 5 different meetings. There have been times where we have gotten emails from them going, when will you post this? Because we post all of those meetings on our video on demand site. So we'll get a message going, we weren't able to send somebody to cover this meeting, can you post this meeting?
Right.
So we post it, they're able to then write their story and provide additional information to the community. So we work back and forth with the commercial media a lot,
Right.
to be able to provide information. I think if we just shut down, I think there would be a void of information in this community.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in our last few minutes that we have here, tell us a little bit about, you mentioned you have a staff.
Yes.
So tell us about the size of your staff and then maybe a little bit about how the organization is governed.
Okay. Whitewater Community Television is, as I mentioned, a 501c3 not-for-profit organization. We do have a board of directors that we answer to. It is made up of 21 3-year terms and then 3 1-year terms, so we can have up to 24 people on our board of directors at one time. Okay. They meet once a month to kind of oversee. They don't do the day-to-day operations, but they have done strategic planning. We're actually having a retreat during this month where the board will meet and talk about a 3- and 5-year plan and what we want to do, how we want to grow, and how we want to continue to serve the community. There are things that the community would like us to do that we may not financially be able to do. So that the board has to kind of help direct the staff as to where we need to be putting our time and energy. Our staff is made up of 4 full-time people. I'm one of those 4 full-time people. And then we have, depending on the time of year and how many students we have, we may have 4 to 6 part-time individuals working for us. David Marcy, as an example, is a person who worked for us part-time, and now really he comes back and he helps us with our ball games, because one of the things that we do is we do all of the volleyball, basketball, men's and women's games for Indiana University East live. So along with government meetings, we do live sports, we do recorded sports and things of that nature. So there's a lot that happens with this organization with what we were able to do. Well,
I have to say, I mean, on my prior life, I spent a lot of time working in television production, and live sports is a whole thing in and of itself. So you guys really cover the gamut with all of what you guys do, and with the staff that you have, it really is impressive that you guys are able to accomplish all that you do and support the community and all the needs as much as you do throughout the year.
We have a dedicated staff of people who live here and who want to see this thrive. They have been able to, even as a staff, they've been able to sometimes find out more about their community working here than they knew even just working out in the community. So we're out in a number of different places.
That's awesome. We're so lucky to have that. Final thoughts. We got just a few seconds left. Anything else that you want to share out with our audience today?
I really do. I would like them to, and we mentioned the financial, and as a not-for-profit, that's very important. We have a casino night event. We call it 21 for Fun. If you can mark that on your calendar, this year it is going to be Friday night, March 10th. It is going to be at the Elks. Tickets will be available on Eventbrite, and you'll be able to find out plenty of information on our website or on our social media sites.
Okay. Well, wonderful. And all kinds of other information there if you need it. So, Eric, thank you very much for taking the time to join me and also to share with the community all the great work and opportunities that are out there. If you need with Whitewater Valley Community Television, WCTV. When we come back, Susan Isaacs from the Wayne Township Trustee is going to be joining me. Stay with me. Welcome back. Susan Isaacs from the Wayne Township Trustee has joined me. Susan, welcome to the third sector.
Nice to be here.
Well, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. We appreciate it, and so does the audience. So you run the Wayne Township Trustee here for Wayne County. Tell us what the trustee is.
The trustee does quite a lot of things. One of the main things that pops in people's mind if they know anything about the trustee is that we provide assistance to those who, despite their own personal best efforts, are unable to take care of their basic needs, which means it's not just about if you have X amount of income, then you get this. It's not like a food stamp entitlement program where it's totally based on your income. It's based on need, and it's based on how much you had and where to go. So it's a little different. It's more complex when it comes to determining who's eligible and what they're eligible for. But we also have other buckets of money for basic needs assistance from United Way, for example, and sometimes Wayne County Foundation, ICAP, which is the IHEAP, the Indiana Heating Assistance Program, which is a FEMA program actually, and our EFSP, which is a FEMA program. So we have all different kinds of money that come in, and sometimes private funds and church funds, to enable us to serve. Because sometimes it takes more than one pool of money, or if we can't meet them with one program, we can meet them with another. And we help to have people apply for other programs and get other assistance as well. So assistance with basic needs is a big thing. We also are the caretaker of 5 Pioneer cemeteries. Pioneer Cemetery is one that was before, I can't remember the year, but and we take over the ones that abandoned is not the right word, but it has no one that currently takes care of them, no resources, no group of people who takes care of them, and they just start falling to the wayside. And we have 5 of them, and we have restored and done really good things in all the cemeteries, which cost a little bit of money and a lot of volunteer time, and donations went to that, and they're just gorgeous now. They're just really beautiful, and so I'm proud of the cemetery work that we've done. And we have a diaper project where once a month, which today is the month I came straight from there here, we give away diapers once a month on the 3rd Thursday every month, and you have to call and reserve your spot. And there's no limit to the number we'll have. We'll but we have to know, because we have volunteers that come in and pack the diapers the next day. So on Tuesday we pack, which like Boys and Girls Club kids come in and things like that to do the packing. And so we have to have the orders in by Monday, but they can come in and get them every month if they want to. And that's a good program that is sponsored. It's not tax dollars. It's sponsored by Holland Colors. Pays for that, and it's also feminine hygiene projects. It's products. So when they tell us how many diapers, we ask them whether they like pads or tampons, and we include those, and wipes. So it's a nice program. And we have the laundry project, which is 3 to 4 times a month at the two different laundromats that you can come in, and based on how many people are in your household, you get a certain number of loads, and the laundry soap and the dryers and the quarters and everything's included. You don't have to have anything except your dirty laundry.
Right.
And a lot of times we give other kinds of giveaways. People bring in things and donate it, and they just swoop them right up. So we give them whatever comes in that we think they might like, and that's nice and good shape, etc. And so that's a really good program. Diaper project today, I think we had something like 65 people coming in to get diapers today. It's growing. When it first started before COVID, we were well over 100, so it's starting to build back up after.
Yeah.
And diapers, or the laundry project is pretty well packed out every event, which is good.
Right. I have to say, to interject my own personal, but I am fortunate enough to have a washer and dryer at my home, and so we're very grateful of that. I can tell you that it was a few months ago I had to take a very large comforter that needed to be washed, and I went to one of the laundromats, and to my shock, it was like, I mean, obviously I had to get a little bit of an oversized washer, not the ones you can maybe do normal loads, but it was like $6.
Just for washing it.
It was like $6 just to wash it, and I honestly was in shock. I didn't have any idea. And so when you think about people who are, paycheck to paycheck or struggling to make ends meet.
That's one of the first thing that gets chopped.
Oh my
gosh. Michael, the person in my office who really has championed that project and is there every single event, was prompted to act on it, to nag me to act on that idea for some time until we did it. He was an investigator. He would go do home visits a lot, and he still does. And he said he was just amazed at the number of people he saw that were washing their clothes in the bathtub and in the sinks and different things. And then we'd see little kids with dirty socks and dirty clothes going to school, and that's a real big deal with kids, especially older kids going to school with dirty clothes and stuff, and they're humiliated and really causes them grief. So
yes.
most of the families that we serve have kids, so
Right.
we like that.
Well, it's great work that you're doing there, and we're fortunate that we have you in our community. So if you haven't always lived in Indiana or you haven't always lived in Wayne County, you may not realize that township trustees aren't in every community in every state across the country. So tell us a little bit about how we have them here in Indiana.
Well, the system was set up back in the 1800s, and the trustee was different then. The trustee was also the justice of the peace and did a lot of more administrative things and had political power.
Okay.
None of that exists anymore. I don't want any political power. Don't have any.
Right.
You know, so that's fine. That political part of it is gone. It's just about the tasks that we're bound to do and to provide, and it's basically finding ways to improve the community that are within the range of things that are possible. And there are a lot of things that we can do. Community center, things like that we can do. We've got a community center, Dwyer Community Center, between 14th and 15th Street on North A Street, and we bought the building for a really good price and redid the whole thing. Literally had
Nice.
staff leader literally had almost red bleeding fingers from putting all the flooring down. We did it. We got a painting, $11,000 to paint, so we did it ourselves. I mean, everything in there was
Right.
hand selected with love. And you should have. I don't know if you've been in there.
Yes, I've been in
It's
there a few
gorgeous
times.
building,
It is.
isn't it?
It
And
is
it's
a beautiful building.
over 6 years now, and it still looks new. All the furniture.
Yes,
we
it
haven't,
does. You'd think it was
It
brand
was
new when you go in.
immaculate. We have that
Yeah.
expectation, and it just
Yeah.
is really nice. So I love that place, and it has all sorts of diverse meetings and events, and it's available for rent also, but
Right.
for just public. But we do a lot of nonprofit stuff in there, and it's a good place. And then we also have the Grassroots Action Resource Center, which is downtown between 8th and 9th, which since COVID hit, we hadn't really been doing anything with it other than I had been early childhood education with the books. Every child can
Every
read.
child can read.
With Pat. Anyway, they were using the building for a couple of years, and then I believe their funding was running down, and I was considering just selling the building, but then I kind of met with Carl Reinhardt, and he's got a vision for the community, and we sat and talked before we decided if it was a good fit for him to use the space at least part of the time, and it was just so aligned with how I feel about the community and how it'd be important to get more people involved and to use that building to provide resources and ways for people to meet and ways for people to find support. And so I'm real excited about starting that part of the journey and getting that place back up and running, because it used to be really, really hopping and did a lot of good things, and so I'm excited about that.
Just for our audience, Carl Reinhardt, whom she's mentioning, who's accessing that particular space on Main Street, it's also an organization he's championed and leading called Wayne County Cares, and he has been on our show somewhat recently to talk about Wayne County Cares, and so that's what Susan's talking about. So they were able, as an entity, to provide another nonprofit that's trying to help the community a space to work. It's really an illustration of how wonderful collaboration and entities like yours help come alongside other nonprofits that are looking to do the work and volunteers, and really as a community help lift up all of those that
Give
have
more-
that greater need, that
more
are
people
more
a chance to
vulnerable.
get involved and show them
more
that they
people
can make an
yes,
impact.
to make
One
a
or two people
difference.
can make a difference. I've
Yeah.
seen so many times, like that park in Maplewood or Maple Park in Centerville that's so beautiful now. Before, it was just really run down and not good. And one young guy that had moved to Centerville, I don't even know if he still lives there, really nice guy, can't remember his name. He walks into my office one day. It was not my thing. He had been sent there from somebody else.
Right.
He said, because we were into doing that back then.
Yeah.
We were helping individuals with projects, and he came in and said, I heard you read blah, 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 blah. So we just worked on getting resources
Right.
and grants, and he did it all.
Right.
We just guided him, and I drive by there now, and it's got a lot more done now since he did it, but he started that.
Yeah.
One person made
can
this
make a difference.
beautiful park. And it's just so many stories like that. And
Yeah.
it's not about what we did. We didn't do that much. But giving people resources and stuff
Helping
is
them do
important. And so
I do want to make sure, so I know while we've been talking, we've been putting some graphics up with some information about the trustee's office, but for people that are watching today that either want to reach out to you to access help or learn more, either maybe how they could volunteer for some of the programs you've mentioned or learn more about how to, access those resources, what are the best ways for folks to connect with you and your office?
my office number, I know it's going to be flashed up there, 973-9392. And if I'm not in, you can leave a message. They'll put you to my voicemail. Because right now I'm spending a lot of my time down at Dwyer Center. And they can get messages to me there if I don't. And you can, we're on Facebook. We've got an email, Susan at WayneTownshipTrustee.com.
Okay.
I check that every single day. So
Okay.
that's a good way too. So send me smoke signals, however you want to get it to me.
Right. So as we're wrapping up our time today, what brings you the most joy about what you do?
When we really touch someone and are able to make a real difference in someone's life, I know that it's a real personal thing, but when somebody comes into your office that is so touched or so relieved of their burden that they just burst into tears or they give you big hugs, and not everybody does that, but every once in a while, it feels good to be able to help people and to have the resources and the job that I do. And I was meant to be doing this job. I just feel that way. I'm an accountant, for God's sake, business. I worked in business for 25 years. I had no idea really what I was getting into. But I've always been interested in helping people. I always won community involvement awards at my work, and
wow,
and when
okay.
so I've always been that way. Like years and years ago, I worked for Domino's Pizza. I was a manager of Domino's, and I started this thing here in Wayne County. That was when I was still living in Richmond. That we had for every year, and it went on for many years. It's not anymore, but it was for Easter Seals kids, and every Easter Seals kid in Wayne County came to the Kuhlman Center, I believe it was, and we had clowns and music and pizza
Right.
and games and
Lots
all
of
this
fun.
cool stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a Christmas party, so I think it was Christmas, it was Christmas. And it was just for fun and just for
Right.
them, and it was just so wonderful. And that went on for many years after I moved out of here, probably at least 15 years, and just stuff like that. And I've always loved doing stuff like that. So this is like,
Right.
I really am grateful.
Well, unfortunately, we are out of time with Susan and for today's episode, but I do want to thank Eric Marsh, who joined us earlier in the episode from WCTV, and of course, Susan Isaacs for being my guest on today's show. Stay well and join us next time on The Third Sector.